to the Ungovernables, the Captain's Crew, the LFA family, McGroin Nation. We're coming to you live from the deep red state of Tennessee. Honorable.com/LFA TV. Welcome to Ungoverned. Big day today. Celebrating yesterday's massive Supreme Court ruling on race-based gerrymandering, which we found out in the middle of the show yesterday. Misfit was in the chat, told Brennan. Brennan's like, hey, Supreme Court just said that LA's, meaning Louisiana's, race-based maps are unconstitutional, and it was a party. We were throwing, popping champagne and all that yesterday on the show, but I didn't really explain why. So, was that? Did you?
I laughed.
Yes, I didn't know what it was.
What was that?
I didn't hear it. I heard like a little bit of it. There it is. Supreme Court in Louisiana. Supreme Court, United States Supreme Court ruled that Louisiana's second majority minority, and we'll explain what that term means in a minute, maps, the second majority minority district was unconstitutional. So we will get to that and break down what it means. First of all, I encourage you, I did this yesterday, as soon as the show ended, I punched in, Scotus, VRA in Google. We was Googling that. We did a Google. I did a little Google search and saw a couple of left-wing outlets. Mother Jones, Mother Jones, left-wing cesspool of a publication online. And they were freaking out. It's Jim Crow. Jim Crow. These are the same people, by the way. Same people who, not even a week ago, were defending the SPLC, funding the Ku Klux Klan. Now they want to tell you about Jim Crow. By the way, who was it who, pop quiz in the chat, who was it, which party was it that enacted Jim Crow laws in the South?
The liberals!
They're the Democrats. There you go.
Even I know that.
There you go. But they want to tell you that the Supreme Court is bringing back Jim Crow. Well, they'd probably be happy about that. We'll talk about all of the different stipulations and all of the different what's what I'm looking for? The fallout from Supreme Court redistricting the Supreme Court didn't redistrict, the Supreme Court ruling on redistricting. We will have a bunch of that ready to go today. Barack Obama, he came out and said some funny stuff. Namely, one of the things he said about the Supreme Court ruling was cock-a-doodle-doo. This ain't going to get old, by the way.
I can't wait till I have mine.
We have two now roosters, by the way. We have nobody's above the law. Cock-a-doodle-doo. And we have Obama. Cock-a-doodle-doo.
Sauce has been losing his mind. He can't wait for the
it's going to be
full soundboard.
It's going to be.
Is so fun. This is going to be like chaos.
It's going to be great. Yeah. It's going to be so good. We're going to be like.
Are those loud for you guys?
Yeah. That's it.
Like, are those too loud?
I don't think so. When I listened back, they were actually a little lower. This one was.
Okay.
This one is especially.
I can hear them loud.
This one was especially lower.
Who do you think you are?
Who do you think you are? Take my glasses. Remember the glasses? Who do you think you are? Okay. Let's get to a word from our friends at OFP Farms. Then we'll jump right in. We will jump right in to. By the way, that's not Obama saying cockle-doodle-doo. That is cockle-doodle-doo. That is hey_Berg on Instagram. I don't know him, but I think he's hysterical. I think he does that. He did the Obama doing Bohemian Rhapsody, and he's
okay. The horn is loud. Apparently,
the horn's loud.
Horn is too loud.
Horn is too loud. Okay. Let me down that level a bit there, and next time we do it, hopefully it won't be as loud. Or maybe it needs to be loud. You know what? I'm gonna hit the horn until we hit 800. I'm gonna do one show that we're just gonna smash the horn until we hit 800 likes. Obama, that's not him saying cock-a-doodle-doo. That is hey_Berg on Instagram. I don't know him, but I think he's hilarious. He did one that Obama doing Bohemian Rhapsody and caught in a landslide. There is no escape from reality. It was great. It was just so funny. All right. Word from our friends over at OFP Farms. We like OFP Farms a lot more than we like Barack Obama, that's for sure. OFP Farms Mother's Day gift boxes are more than just a gift. They are an experience. 20% off, folks. You got 10 days. 10 days until Mother's Day, but you got to get those orders in now if you want to get the box by Mother's Day. That's the point. Don't order it on Mother's Day. What are you going to do? It's not gonna, you can't teleport the box. Got to get it done now. Sooner is better than later. Okay, OFP Farms Mother's Day gift box is more than just a gift. They're an absolute experience this Mother's Day. You can give mom more than just a gift. Give her a moment to feel pampered and truly treasured. At OFP Farms, every product is handcrafted right on their farm using fresh goat milk and grass-fed tallow. Rich, nourishing ingredients that her skin will absolutely love. It is more than just skincare. It is a daily reminder that she deserves to slow down, care for herself, and feel appreciated. For a limited time, you can get 20% off your entire order with the code Sean, SHAWN. Enjoy those clean ingredients in small batches and the real results that come from using amazing OFP Farms products from the farm to her skin. Mom deserves to feel this good every single day, so get that Mother's Day gift set over at OFPfarms.com. Use the promo code Sean for 20% off. And here's a fun little video from the farm right here. That is OFPfarms.com, promo code SHAWN, OFPfarms.com, promo code Sean, SHAWN, 20% off Mother's Day gift boxes until Mother's Day, May 10th. Get them done sooner rather than later, okay? R2 has had enough of the people complaining about the volume. No, it's good because, I don't know, this is a brand new board.
It's valid, but yeah, we're trying to see, because we can't hear what you guys hear, so the feedback does help us. We don't want it to be blasting your ears off.
I don't want you guys to have
it needs to be just like in line with
we want to have
Sean
it in
sounds.
It's called the Goldilocks, right? Not too hot, not too cold. I got along very well with Goldilocks, by the way. Tremendous. They called me Goldilocks, too, because I'm perfect, right? Not too hot, not too cold. Although we're the hottest country in the world. All right, let's get right into it. Supreme Court redistricting ruling came out yesterday. It's been a bad week. It has been a very bad week for Democrats in the redistricting fight. That's for sure. It has been a very bad week for Democrats with the redistricting fights that are currently underway. Virginia, we talked about that briefly yesterday. The Virginia Supreme Court, their state Supreme Court, did not lift the injunction that was preventing certification of the redistricting vote, the referendum that happened last week. That was big news because if you read the tea leaves, and I'm not guaranteeing this is what's going to happen in Virginia, but if you read the tea leaves and you kind of see the patterns that usually play out in the courts there, when a superior court or an appeals court or the Supreme Court, whatever, does not lift the injunction, it usually means that they're not expecting that to happen after the ruling. So that's not to say that, it's game over in Virginia, but it's a very good sign. But in the Supreme Court yesterday, we threw a party, okay? When we found out about it, we threw a party. Supreme Court struck down or essentially narrowed. They didn't destroy Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, okay? Which was never really in the cards. I don't think they were ever going to get rid of Section 2. But what they did, and we talked about this last year when they agreed to, hear this case again. What they did is they drastically narrowed the scope of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. This may not be the most exciting information, but it is good information that is important information for everybody to understand so that we know exactly what the Supreme Court did yesterday. It's a good thing. Okay, I'm not going to rain on your parade with that, all right? The Supreme Court voided race-based redistricting. The United States Supreme Court on Wednesday struck down a race-based redistricting map in Louisiana, ruling that the state's second black majority district violates the Constitution. A conservative majority ruled 6-3. The map is an unconstitutional gerrymander, but stopped short of scrapping Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act entirely. Instead, what they did is they narrowed the scope, they narrowed the reach, and how Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act can be enforced. Quote, Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act of 1965 was designed to enforce the Constitution, not collide with it. Unfortunately, lower courts have sometimes applied this court's Section 2 precedents in a way that forces states to engage in the very race-based discrimination that the Constitution forbids, Justice Alito wrote for the majority. This tension between Section 2 and the Constitution came to a head when Louisiana redrew its congressional districts after the 2020 census. In 2022, a federal judge in the Middle District of Louisiana held that the map adopted by the state legislature likely violated Section 2 because it did not include an additional majority black district. But when the state drew a new map that contained such a district, its new map was challenged as a racial gerrymander. A 3-judge court in the Western District of Louisiana held that the new map violated the Equal Protection Clause, and the state appealed to this court, being the Supreme Court. The case was Louisiana versus Calais. They heard the arguments last October 15th. The court heard arguments in the last term in June, but agreed to hear another round and ultimately considered whether race or politics was the state's motivation and whether compliance with the Voting Rights Act justifies the intentional use of race in drawing legislative districts. That is the most important part of this whole thing right now. So let's slow down and tell you what this means. The Supreme Court is saying race, i.e. drawing your maps, drawing your districts based on race, is unconstitutional. Drawing your district based on politics is not unconstitutional. And think, you say, well, isn't that kind of one and the same? Well, it kind of has been, but that's beside the point. Somebody who votes Republican today can vote Democrat tomorrow. That's just the fact of the matter, right? That's just you can't argue that. If I wanted to, in a few days, in a few months when we have another election, because we already voted in the May 5th primary, and I wanted to vote for Democrat candidates here in Rutherford County, I could. I can't change my race, right? Well, so that's right. Well, you can't. The left may say you can, but you actually can't. The point that the Supreme Court is making here is that you can gerrymander for political purposes all you want, but you cannot have race as the predominant factor when you're drawing congressional maps, okay? The Supreme Court ruled 6-3 in Louisiana versus Calais that Louisiana's congressional map was an unconstitutional racial gerrymander because the state relied too heavily on race when creating a second majority black district. The court said that states cannot use race as the dominant factor in drawing districts unless there is an extremely strong constitutional justification. The majority ruled that Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act of 1965 did not require Louisiana to create the additional majority black district in this case. And that's the next thing I wanted to get to, is Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act has been so overly enforced and overly applied that it has essentially forced some of these southern states to comply with a rule that doesn't actually exist because they don't want to get sued. They don't want to go through lawsuits. They don't want to be called a racist. They don't want to do all these things. So they've kind of swung so far to the other side so they don't, quote unquote, violate Section 2 when apparently the application of Section 2 now has been ruled unconstitutional. This application of it, because Section 2 did not require Louisiana to draw this new map. The Supreme Court said Louisiana's map violated the Equal Protection Clause by engaging in race-based districting. Now, the Democrats are throwing a fit. And I want to be very clear and very explicit with regards to why they're throwing a fit. What is the left saying is the problem here? Oh, you're disenfranchising black voters. They're not going to be represented. Whoa. That's not what you're having a problem with. You are having an issue with the fact that you're losing congressional power. You don't care about the race of these people. You're the guys who are just funding the KKK. You don't care about black voters. If you did, how come every major metropolitan city, we hear about systemic racism in those cities? Atlanta, New York City, Philadelphia, Boston, Seattle, Portland, Detroit, all these places, right? All these cities. You don't care about black voters. If you did, why don't you why does your party consistently never make things better for that community? It's not about, folks, the left is trying to make this a racial thing. This is not about race for them. This is about power, and this is a threat to their power, period. That is why Mother Jones, that article on Mother Jones yesterday, they were throwing a hissy fit. That is why on Mark Elias's website, Democracy Docket, they were throwing a hissy fit. Oh, we're returning back to the days of Jim Crow. Yeah, who enacted Jim Crow laws? Oh, the party switched. No, they didn't.
That's such such an easy excuse.
The parties did not switch.
Stupid.
The parties did not switch. Okay? But I'll tell you what did happen. Supreme Court said you cannot draw congressional maps and districts based on race. And this is not out of the ordinary when it comes to the Supreme Court. There have been a long line of cases. Shaw versus Reno, Shelby County versus Holder, Students for Fair Admissions versus Harvard, that have all essentially ruled that the Constitution is colorblind. Meaning, because of the Equal Protection Clause, and because, all men and women are created equal under God, we don't talk about race. The Constitution is colorblind. Therefore, it does not allow racial gerrymandering. In practice, purely race-driven maps are now at much greater risk of being struck down. Race cannot be the predominant factor in drawing districts unless the state can satisfy strict scrutiny. To survive strict scrutiny, the state must show a compelling reason and that the map is narrowly tailored. The court is now saying Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act will justify race-conscious districts in fewer situations than before. Courts are signaling, including the Supreme Court, that they prefer race-neutral explanations like geography, incumbency, and communities of interest or partisan balance. You cannot say, oh, it's because there's a bunch of black people here and we're putting them in their own district. Can't do that. By the way, what would the Democrats be doing if some of these states were doing like white-only districts, right? Drawing lines around where the biggest white populations were. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine that? What the hissy fit would be. 5-alarm fire. 5-alarm fire. You would be getting this from the left the whole time.
How dare you?
Right? It would be Greta Thunberg the whole time. They would be.
Who do you think you are?
With the glasses. That's what they'd be doing. So if you can't do it, if they would have thrown a hissy fit over drawing lines crazy, and look, everybody gerrymanders, right? But drawing lines like crazy over there to create majority districts, they call them majority-minority districts. Meaning, the district is composed primarily of minority people, folks that are of a minority race, black, Latino, whatever. That is racist in and of itself and is no longer allowed. This is a huge win. Now, in Louisiana, you have the governor, Jeff Landry. This is over at Fox 8. They're one of their local outlets there. Now saying that because of this ruling, he may be suspending the May primary to redraw their congressional maps. Jeff Landry plans to suspend the state's May 16th primary elections to allow lawmakers to pass a new congressional map first. The decision follows a Supreme Court ruling on Wednesday that found Louisiana had unlawfully discriminated by race when it created a second majority black district. The 6-3 decision limited a key provision of the Voting Rights Act. The Washington Post reports that Landry's announcement to suspend the primary could come as early as today, one day before early voting is scheduled to begin, according to people familiar with his plans who spoke on the condition of anonymity. In the wake of this ruling, Senator Marsha Blackburn, who's running for governor here in the state of Tennessee, regardless of how you feel about her, there's a lot of people with a lot of opinions. That's fine. She has called on the state of Tennessee to redraw its maps and get rid of the one Democrat map because it is essentially a majority-minority district, which could be in violation of this latest ruling, which would give an extra seat in Congress to Republicans. And by the way, if we are going to redraw maps, might I suggest that you draw this house into Andy Ogle's district? Nothing personal against Scott Desjardins.
Just this one house.
Just you could leave it. I want to be gerrymandered into Ogle's district.
Like a little lollipop.
Just circle
us with a line.
That's it. Okay? I want this to be Ogle's stand right here. I want to be in there. Nothing personal against Scott Desjardins, who goes to Congress, votes Republican, votes on every bill, and does it the right way. He's
no Andy Ogles, though.
He's no Andy Ogles. Yeah. I've never met Scott. I've heard he's a nice guy, but I love Andy. So if we are going to redraw our maps, can we put this home in Andy Ogle's district? It's just a request to the redistricting people. I don't know who they are. The redistricting people. All right. Barack Obama.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
Very upset with. It's too good, is it not? It's so stupid, right?
Stupid.
It's so stupid.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
Yeah. Cock-a-doodle. Do. Cock-a-doodle. Do. I will never get it. That guy's stuff is so good.
You always get Russian sounding when you do it.
Right. Cock-a-doodle-doo. Right? It's a Mother Russia rooster. Okay, here we go. Barack Obama, because I told you, his voice comes from the back of the throat, as does Russia.
Yeah, but you've rounded
when
out.
You speak Russia, when you speak like a cock-a-doodle-doo. Do. Yeah, do. It's a do. Cock-a-doodle-doo. All right. Barack Obama weighs in on the Supreme Court, gutting the Voting Rights Act by striking down Louisiana's racially gerrymandered map. And Obama is, as we figured, unhappy about it. He's cock-a-doodle-dooing into the wind. Very, very unhappy with where what his party's looking at right now, especially with Virginia. I mean, you think the Democrats, they've been expert gerrymanders for a long time. I knew Jerry very well. Great guy, Jerry. Not a real person. But you look at Virginia. That case is very much in doubt. At first, I was like, whatever. I don't know. I'm kind of like 50-50 this might get struck down in Virginia. Maybe even more. Former President Barack Obama lashed out at the U.S. Supreme Court. Can't do that. No kings. How funny was it, by the way, with King Charles? Is that what it is now? Yeah. And the Democrats were like, yay, kings. But then, like, tomorrow, they're going to be like, no kings. No kings. Ooh, yeah. Right? They're going to be doing all this crap. The Gateway Pundit reported the Supreme Court issued a 6-3 ruling on Wednesday. We know about that. The case state of Louisiana versus Philip Calais stems from Louisiana's cowardly lawmakers caving to activist left-wing judges and creating a second majority-minority congressional district. Barack Obama agreed with Justice Elena Kagan that the VRA was gutted and slammed the court for not only weakening minority voting power, but abandoning its vital role in ensuring equal participation in our democracy. Okay, stop, Barack. All right? Folks, I want you to understand this. This is very important. This is very important. The only reason that people like Barack Obama,
cock-a-doodle-doo,
people like Elena Kagan, people like the mainstream Democrats you see on the media, wherever, elected officials, the only reason they're upset with this Supreme Court decision has nothing to do with race. It has everything to do with the fact that they believe that they are entitled to the minority vote. And because they can no longer consolidate minority voters in congressional districts, i.e. racially gerrymandering, to ensure that they get those seats, because they can't do that, that's a threat to their power. They are very upset about that. Because now they're going to actually have to earn the votes of everybody in that district and not just put their feet up and go, that's a majority Spanish district, we're good. That's a majority black district, we're good. That's the only reason why they're upset. It's not actually about, you're diluting. It's Jim Crow. It's Jim Crow? You want to talk about Jim Crow? Let's talk about Jim Crow. The Democrats are the party of Jim Crow. That's a fact. The Democrats are the party that voted and fought hard against the civil rights movement. That's a fact. The Democrats are the party of slavery. That's a fact. And you're seeing it now with illegal alien labor, where they're working for, you hear all the time, Bernie Sanders, $15 an hour minimum wage. Now it's $25 an hour because the rich have to pay their fair share. They're the party of slavery. Back in the 1860s and now with illegal aliens. Oh, well, if we deport the illegals, who's going to pick our food? Who's going to clean our toilets? Yeah, I know, right? Poor you. I don't know. Maybe you could do it. Clean a toilet once in a while. I don't know. Bernie Sanders would never. Nancy Pelosi would never be caught scrubbing a toilet. I will not scrub my toilets. Shut up! I may have to find the Nancy Pelosi shut up clip and put her on the board, too.
I love me some Nancy.
Oh, Nancy
She
Pelosi.
just is hysterical to watch.
Nancy Pelosi. The Democrats have absolutely no interest in treating all the races fairly. Right? They are the party of slavery. They are the party that enacted Jim Crow. The Democrats are. They are the party that started the KKK. They are the party that fought against the civil rights movement. They are the party now that is defending the SPLC funding the Klan. Well, they weren't funding the Klan. They were funding informants. Really? You're funding informants, huh? Okay. And how come when your informants reported back that, the white supremacist or, racist or whatever groups that they were a part of, the hate groups that they were a part of, were about to do something? How come no one called the police? How come nobody shut those groups down? How come those informants just lived in there? Because the SPLC was able to then point to the activities of those groups and say, this is why we need the money. We need the money to fight them. But you're funding them. And the Democrats are defending that. So you, on one hand, have the Democrats upset. Oh, the Supreme Court's going to bring back Jim Crow. Meanwhile, the Democrats are the party of Jim Crow, the actual party of Jim Crow. That's a fact. And on the other hand, you have them very upset. Oh, the SPLC should be allowed to fund the Klan. It's politically motivated indictment. So what do we actually care about racism and, eradicating white supremacy, or do we care about funding it so that we can point at it and then fundraise off of it? As it sounds like, it sounds like the latter is more likely than the former. I find this to be hysterical. They never pass their own tests. They never pass their own tests. Ever. Ever. And that is being put on full display now with this Voting Rights Act decision and the reaction to it. On full display. The Constitution is colorblind. And this case today, now ahead of the 2026 midterms, it may not result in that many seats. Okay? Which I'm actually happy about. What? You happy about that? Yes, because I want people to work. I don't want people to think, oh, we got 20 seats now, redistricting. We could just kind of put our feet up and coast in. It's going to be fine. No. But after these midterms, whether we win or lose, I hope we win. They're winnable. We talked about it yesterday, right? We have this poll from Harvard-Harris. It's tied. Florida, just through the House and their Senate, have passed a R+4, right? So there's 4 seats going to be created in Florida now. If Louisiana redraws those maps, that's going to be another seat there. If Tennessee Tennessee's primaries, they're the local primaries are now, but I don't think the state primaries aren't until August, I don't think. So they have some time to do that. You get a seat there. If the Virginia maps get struck down, you pick up, you avoid losing seats in Virginia, potentially. But after these midterms, you could see anywhere from 12, 15, up to 19 seats shift back towards the Republicans, which will make it very difficult for Democrats to ever take power back in the House. This election, even if we win these midterms and have a 2-seat majority, once these other states redistrict and redraw their maps because they're no longer afraid of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, you could see for the next couple of decades Republicans controlling the House. And that's what I was talking about earlier in the week, where you and last week, where you have to stack wins. You can't just be satisfied with one presidential win and one midterm win and then, it's a 2-seat majority. Well, we control both chambers. How come nothing's getting done? The majority is too slim. You've got to stack wins after win after win after win. You got to keep stacking them in order to make these lasting long-term changes. And this can go a long way to helping us do that. So these midterms are very important. We got to do everything we can to hold the House. I don't care about how many seats. We got to do everything we can to hold the House. And then after these midterms, let the redistricting games begin, because a lot of states have missed the deadline. Let the redistricting games begin. Let's squeeze out 15 more seats from these states that have been oppressed by Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. And for the next couple of decades, make it very difficult for the Democrat Party to win back the House of Representatives. Make them actually have to campaign on real ideas, which they don't have. They just have Orange Man bad. Very significant ruling from the Supreme Court on the Voting Rights Act. And I was looking forward to this and very happy it came out. All right. Let's take a quick break. We'll get to a word from our friends over at Cove Pure. I love Cove Pure. I tried this morning the hot water dispense function on the Cove Pure.
Yeah.
So on the Cove Pure, you can set a temperature for the water to come out and it's boiling. So I put a little tea bag in the cup and we poured dispensed the hot water. Thing works great. I love our Cove Pure unit. Folks, you know all about how dangerous fluoride is, and it's in your water, right? It's in your fluoride. I thought it just makes your teeth stronger. Yeah, well, it's in your water, and there's more to it than just, what the dentist tells you. Fluoride in your water is no good. It's maybe the one thing that Alex Jones was right about. But fluoride, folks, the government has been medicating your water with it for a very long time, over 80 years, not because you asked for it, not because you voted for it, but because they decided you needed it. That was it. It was their decision. It wasn't yours. Shouldn't work that way. Well, it's not a decision that I want someone else making for us, which is why we filter every drop of water that we drink now in our home with Cove Pure. Over 209 million Americans are on fluoridated water right now. And here's what the science actually shows. In September of 2024, a federal judge ruled that adding fluoride to water poses, and I'm quoting the court directly, quote, an unreasonable risk to neurological health. Not a fringe study. A federal court ordered the EPA to act. Then in January of 2025, a study published by JAMA, J-A-M-A Pediatrics, one of the most respected medical journals in the world, confirmed a link between fluoride exposure and children's IQ scores. The higher the exposure, the lower the IQ. Now, some states have moved on it, like Utah and Florida, but that process takes years to actually implement. Your kids, your family, everybody who's drinking water in your home, they are drinking that fluoridated water right now, so you need something to counteract that, and that is exactly what Cove Pure can do. Its Clearwave reverse osmosis technology is certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants, including fluoride and PFAs and lead and pharmaceuticals and heavy metals. Anything that isn't water gets filtered right out. And then the unit actually puts calcium and magnesium back into the water before it dispenses into your cup, which is amazing. I also love this hot water feature that makes making tea very, very easy. You get boiling water straight out of your Cove Pure.
In like 2 seconds.
In 2 seconds, it's ready to go.
Button and it comes out hot.
Yeah. So cool. We love this thing, and I think you're going to love it too. For anybody who's got a Cove Pure in the chat, let us know. COVEPURE.com/Sean for $250 off. CovePure.com/SHAWN for $250 off this unit. It's a great investment, and it's a great way to make sure that your water is safe. CovePure.com/Sean, COVEPURE.com/SHAWN. All right. I promised you yesterday that I would get to the story about Fauci's aide being indicted over mishandling COVID records, right? And so we will get to that right now. The Department of Justice has indicted the top Fauci aide, David Morans, for concealing records in the COVID origins probe. Okay? Some of you may see where this is going, and some of you may not, but we're going to talk about all of this, all right? The DOJ on Tuesday indicted David Morans, a longtime senior advisor to Dr. Anthony Fauci at the NIAID. Morans has been charged with conspiracy against the United States, the destruction, alteration, or falsification of records, and concealment of federal records. According to the indictment, Morans allegedly used his personal Gmail account to evade Freedom of Information Act requests, hid communications aimed at restoring funding to quote-unquote Company One, and countered the COVID-19 lab leak theory. He also stands accused of exchanging non-public information with grantees. Prosecutors say his actions undermine public trust during the height of the COVID quote-unquote pandemic. Quote, these allegations represent a profound abuse of trust at a time when the American people needed it most during the height of a quote-unquote global pandemic. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche said in a statement, as alleged in the indictment, Dr. Morans and his co-conspirators deliberately concealed information and falsified records in an effort to suppress alternative theories regarding the origins of COVID-19. Government officials have a solemn duty to provide honest, well-grounded facts and advice in service of the public interest, not to advance their own personal or ideological agendas. Very important indictment. And now I'm gonna call out some people. Now we're seeing, I think, and I'll call out maybe not the right word, but now we're seeing the grandstanding from House Republicans. Now we're seeing, well, indict Fauci next. He lied to Congress. I would love nothing more than to see Anthony Fauci indicted. What is standing in the way of the indictment of Fauci? What is standing in the way of indicting Anthony Fauci? I mean, you can indict him, but I guarantee you, because of one thing that's standing in the way, it never goes to trial. Do you know what that is? What is standing in the way of indicting and convicting Anthony Fauci, lying to Congress, or anything related to COVID? No.
Judges won't do anything. Oh,
nope, not judges. Let's see. There it is.
Evidence.
Jackie's got it. A pardon.
Oh, that would not have been anything that I would have guessed.
Pardon. Bucklebrush Jones says pardons don't cover treason. Anthony Fauci did not commit treason. You must look up the treason statute. Nothing Anthony Fauci did could be legally defined as treason. Legally. Colloquially, different story. You want to talk about it with your friends? He's a traitor? Fine. Legally, he's not. I'm just telling you what the law says, guys. Now, Gary brings up a good point. Pardons only work for federal charges. Why not bring up state charges? Nothing is stopping any states from doing that, if it can be found that he violated state law. But someone like Nancy Mace, whatever, take her or leave her, whatever, she's okay, was saying indict. I'll read this. I'll read the post to you. She's saying indict Fauci. He lied to Congress, and the deadline is May 11th. And like I said, I like Nancy Mace, but she's a bit performative at times. She can be. And I can tell you this is going to be used as some sort of opportunity to fundraise or grandstand or get some attention. Nancy Mace says here, we're calling on the Department of Justice to indict former National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases Director Dr. Anthony Fauci for lying to Congress before the 5-year statute of limitations expires on May 11th. Anthony Fauci looked Congress in the eye and lied under oath about funding research tied to a pandemic killing millions of people worldwide, which he then used as justification to shut down our country. Former President Biden issued a blanket auto pen pardon to Fauci on his final day in office, covering unspecified offenses dating back to 2014. We have serious questions about the validity of the pardon. Now, the only thing I'm willing to entertain with regards to the validity of that pardon is that the charges were unspecified. Folks, I can't say it enough. Stop listening to people who are telling you that the pardons are void because of the auto pen, and do yourself a favor and read the Constitution. Don't even listen to me. Read the Constitution. Because if you read the Constitution and you read the part of the Constitution that gives the president the power to pardon, you will see that there's not even a requirement in the Constitution for the president to sign anything, let alone a requirement in the Constitution that says that a pardon must be physically signed by the president of the United States. The Constitution makes it clear that the president has and is the only person with the authority to pardon people of state crimes. Not state crimes, crimes against the state. In other words, crimes against the country. Federal crimes, not state crimes, federal crimes. Just to be clear. You can't pardon anybody's state crimes. That's why I told you the Tina Peters thing, that was for show. It was symbolic. I was right about that. And hopefully she gets out soon. The president has the authority to issue pardons. The Constitution does not make or set any guidelines as to what that issuance must look like. He technically does not even have to sign a piece of paper, but They do that to memorialize the pardon so that it can be proven in a court of law. If charges are brought, no, I got a pardon. Here's my proof. It's the receipt, essentially. There is no requirement that a pardon has to be physically signed by the President of the United States. The only requirement in the Constitution is that the President of the United States authorizes the pardon or issues the pardon. The President can direct somebody to pardon someone else so long as the President wants that pardon to happen, it is valid. Now, we can all come on, are you saying Joe Biden knew everything that was going on? No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, in order to overturn a presidential pardon where the powers given to the president in the Constitution are about as absolute as anything in that document, in order to overturn a presidential pardon, you have got to have the greatest, most explicit, most obvious evidence that the president wasn't aware of those pardons being issued. They say, well, but when those pardons were issued, Biden wasn't even in the White House. He was at the inaugural ceremony. He was on the way. There's no way he could have authorized it. Or did he say a day earlier, yeah, send him out, in the final hour of my presidency? That's all that needs to be said. Joe Biden publicly has said that he was aware of everything. And if he gives that statement under oath, again, we don't have to believe him. But the way it works in court, it's under oath. That's evidence on his side, on their side. You have got to have evidence, some email, phone records, text somewhere. Hey, let's do this. Biden has no idea, but he'll play along. Then you're talking about potentially being able to overturn those pardons because then the president didn't issue them, and that's unconstitutional. But it's very, very clear in the Constitution that it doesn't even mandate that the president has to sign a document to pardon somebody. Technically. But they do it as basically receipt of the pardon, proof of purchase, essentially. The only thing that I would be willing to entertain, unless there's big time evidence somewhere, is can you pardon somebody for unspecified charges, as Nancy Mace points out? That's the only thing I think that could realistically be challenged. Okay? That's the only thing I think, and I'm not telling you this because I like it. Robert Hur's testimony doesn't add weight to the argument. The question, that he was an old man with a poor memory? No, it doesn't. Because as long as he is aware of, folks, I can't tell you to read the Constitution enough. As long as the president authorizes a pardon to be issued, that pardon gets issued. I you know the deal. I don't tell you every day. I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you what I believe to be true. And I don't want people pounding their chest. We're going to overturn the pardons like King Kong. And then all of a sudden it doesn't happen and we're angry. Okay? So are you saying we shouldn't try to indict Fauci? I mean, you want to indict him. You can indict him just to watch it get overturned in court or use that as a way to legally test the pardon. Fine. And maybe that's the route they go. But I'm telling you, probably, 98% chance here. If Fauci gets indicted, that case is going to get dismissed before it even gets close to a trial because of the pardon, unless the pardon is overturned. And the only way it's getting overturned is if there's insane evidence that shows that Joe Biden didn't authorize it. Sean Maga 79 asks a good question. I thought pardons were for people convicted of a crime, not just giving them a pardon to cover all crimes. So that brings up the idea of the preemptive pardon, right? Jimmy Carter did this in his term as president. He gave Vietnam draft dodgers a blanket pardon, even if they weren't charged with draft dodging, right? So you can issue a preemptive pardon, you can issue a blanket pardon, and you can pardon somebody for crimes they have not yet been charged with or convicted of. There is precedent for that. Again, the president's pardon power is extremely broad and as absolute as just about anything in the Constitution. I encourage you to read that. Anybody who is telling you that these pardons are going to get overturned is not reading the Constitution, or is reading it and interpreting it in a way that fits a narrative. It's not going to, I don't think it's going to happen on the grounds of autopen. Maybe for unspecified crimes, maybe there's a loophole there, but even that, I don't know. All right. Let's take a quick break and get to a word from our friends at goldencrestmetals.com/LFA. That's goldencrestmetals.com/LFA.
I'm sure by now you've heard that silver went up 160% last year, 2025. I bought this silver for $22 an ounce. It's now worth almost $100. And we and experts think that silver is going to get up to about $200 an ounce. Palladium and platinum were stuck at $900 an ounce for like over a year, or in that area. Now they're up over $2,000. Gold is approaching $5,000 an ounce. If you have ever thought about putting some or all of your retirement or nest egg or savings or just buying bullion in precious metals, now's the time to do it. goldencrestmetals.com/LFA. That's goldencrestmetals.com/LFA. Go leave your name, your email, and your phone number. Schedule a time to talk to the folks over at Golden Crest Metals. Get your free gold guide today, and make sure you tune in on Saturdays at 1 p.m. for the Crest Report, where we dive deep into precious metals, why they're doing what they're doing, and where we expect them to go. It is like insider trading. Nancy Pelosi knows about that. We don't. It's just inside information. It's not even really that. It's called knowledge. Get yours today and get a part of gold, silver, palladium, and platinum and diversify your portfolio today. goldencrestmetals.com/LFA.
That is goldencrestmetals.com/LFA, goldencrestmetals.com/LFA. Appreciate everybody and Golden Crest for being a part of the show. All right. Let's move into, there was something I wanted to get to. Let me check. It was in my X bookmarks, and I want to get to, it might have been covered already. We might have jumped on it already. Let's see. Yes, this was interesting. The Comey indictment. This is what I wanted to get into. The Comey indictment. Did you see Paul Sperry's tweet yesterday about the Comey indictment on 8647? You see, this is why I was saying pump the brakes on everybody hyperventilating over with the pearls.
Who do you think you are?
Why would you be indicting, over seashells? That's not what it was. There's no way a grand jury just indicted over seashells. Paul Sperry had a tweet yesterday. DOJ sources tell me prosecutors are pursuing a, quote, forfeiture action in relation to James Comey's alleged felonies because they believe Comey posted the 86 Trump threat to also help drum up sales of a forthcoming book. Comey posted the image 5 days before the May 20th, 2025 release of his new crime novel. Controversy over the posting thrust Comey back into the headlines and drew potential book buyers to his Instagram and X accounts, where he heavily promoted the book after that. According to the indictment, quote, upon conviction, the defendant shall forfeit to the United States any property, real or personal, which constitutes or is derived from proceeds traceable to the said offense. So are they saying here in the indictment, what it looks like they're saying here is that James Comey posted this threat, which is a crime, and then used the publicity that he got from that post, which was a crime, according to the prosecutors, to make money. And you are not allowed to profit off of crime. This is from Pamela Hensley on X. When Comey posted his shell threat, he came out with his new book, FDR Drive, which is about using coded messages to incite violence while claiming innocence. Wow. Kind of sounds like what James Comey's doing, right? He literally wrote this book on the tactic and then employed the tactic and allegedly tried to sell the book, more copies of the book after getting in trouble for what the book's about. I'm telling you, there's more to this indictment, and let's see what happens. That may be how they get him. Let's see. Yeah. JJN SAEX says, I am the FBI, Comey, I am the FBI director, but I don't know what 86 means. Yeah, sure. All right. So I'm more enthusiastic and more excited about what happens to Comey with this 8647 indictment than anything on, in the pardon game. But is this the way they get him? Maybe. I hope this thing goes to trial. I really do. I hope it goes to trial. All right. Quick break. Let's get to word from our friends at Silent. SLNT.com/Sean. SLNT.com/SHAWN. By the way, after this, I want to tell you a little something we did yesterday. It was really cool. But SLNT.com/Sean. Folks, let's face it, your phone is a tracking device between government agencies, big tech, corporate data brokers, even those pesky cyber criminals. They're all fighting for a piece of your digital footprint. And the craziest part about it is they don't ask, right? They just take it. They're supposed to ask. They don't ask. They just take it, and it's horrible. It's horrible. That is why Silent exists. Silent makes Faraday gear that blocks all wireless signals, including cellular, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, RFID, and near-field communications. No signal means no tracking, no remote access, and no breadcrumbs. It's the same technology trusted by special operations teams around the world, used to block signals, avoid surveillance, and secure communications wherever the mission leads. And right now it is available to you so you can protect your family, you can protect your freedom, and you can secure your digital footprint. Just drop your phone in a Silent Faraday sleeve, and boom, it's off the grid, completely silent and invisible to the outside world. From their backpacks to their sleeves to their crossbody, Silent's patented technology gives you total control of your privacy. Just visit SLNT.com/Sean. Use the promo code SHAWN. Get 15% off and free shipping on qualifying orders. That is Silent. SLNT.com/Sean. Protect your rights. Secure your data and stay one step ahead. Silent.com. SLNT.com. Silence the chaos. Go silent today. SLNT.com/SHAWN. Yeah. Hit that thumbs up button for us, folks.
Do it.
You got to do it. Or I'm going to play the air horn, which is going to be really loud, and everyone's going to get mad at me. But I won't do it. If you hit the thumbs up, you get past 800, there's no air horn. Final note on today. This new report on the White House Correspondents' Dinner and the assassination attempt at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, there's a little bit of a hidden, holy sugar honey iced tea moment here. Okay? And I'm going to explain to you what that is. The left doesn't seem to think that, well, they're talking about, it's staged, the whole 9 yards. The legacy media is playing dumb and essentially saying, we don't know where he could have got these ideas from. Really, it's on MS Now. His Cole Thomas Allen's manifesto could have been a monologue on Simone Sanders' show on MS Now. Now, NPR, right, which we know is a left-wing rag, said the quiet part out loud here. NPR claimed that there is no radical footprint regarding Cole Thomas Allen and why he tried to assassinate Donald Trump. Look at that. With no radical footprint, what drove the suspect to try and assassinate Trump? What are they actually admitting here? They're not telling you that there's no motive. They read the same manifesto that we read. They're claiming there's no radical footprint. They read the same manifesto that we read. The one where Cole Thomas Allen used the same mainstream media left-wing talking points that Donald Trump is a pedophile, Donald Trump's a rapist, Donald Trump is a traitor. We've heard those things before. He didn't come up with those items and those ideas by himself. What is NPR admitting here when they say there's no radical footprint? What they're admitting is they don't view Cole Thomas Allen's views as radical. They don't believe he was a radical because they subscribe to the same ideology that he subscribes to, and he subscribes to the same ideology that they subscribe to. And they're not going to point in the mirror and call themselves radical, are they? So they're saying everyone says there's a radical footprint here. There's no radical footprint. Donald Trump is all those things. That's what they're saying. They're not saying there's no evidence. They're not saying there's no motive. They're saying, yeah, we read it. There's nothing radical about it. And there they go again. The left, specifically those in the media, like NPR, showing their disgusting, unwiped asses to the world. That's kind of scary when you have somebody try to take out the president and members of his cabinet, and you read the manifesto, and it is full of insanity. And you have NPR going, no radical footprint. They're not trying to say there's no evidence. They're trying to say the evidence that we have isn't radical. That's because they've mainstreamed those ideas. They've normalized those ideas. Those ideas don't sound radical anymore because they say them all the time. He is NPR. NPR is him. MS Now, CNN, many of the members of the left on Capitol Hill, in Congress, in the Senate, in the media, running for office all around the country, in the streets. They are all believers of the same ideology. It has become so mainstream now that they think it's not radical. That's the point. All right. If you can, real quick before we go on YouTube and search for Jeremy Boring. You know, he was the co-founder of the Daily Wire. Jeremy Boring, Boring. I was on his show yesterday, which was a lot of fun. It was a 2-hour conversation with Jeremy Boring, John Lewis, and Siaka Massaquoi, who's an awesome guy. Really, really cool dude. We had a good time yesterday with on Jeremy Boring's show. So you can take a look at that. 2 hours long. We talked about a lot of what's wrong with the conservative space right now, and some of the good things and some of the things that we could work to build to make it a better place. I'll be on the Michael Patrick Leahy show coming up at 11 a.m. Central Time. You could follow that at Michael P. Leahy on X. Jeremy Harrell up next here on rumble.com/LFA TV. As President Trump says, we will never give up, we will never give in, and we will never, ever surrender. And if all else fails, we'll just become ungovernable. Thank you. God bless you. God bless this one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Anywhere you get your podcasts, by the way, if you could do me a favor today on your phone, go on to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any podcasting app, search Ungoverned, hit subscribe. Helps us reach new people. We've seen a big surge over on the audio side, which we also appreciate. Have a great rest of your day. Jeremy Harrell up next. We're back tomorrow morning, same time, same place, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, rumble.com/LFA TV. I'll also be on 1210 WPHT, 7:45 to 9:45 Eastern Time tomorrow morning as well. And today is the last day that I am 34 years old. We'll see you tomorrow morning to start off the month of May. First of the month, we know we got to look up if there's elections, and we'll have some fun tomorrow. We'll be doing calls. Jeremy Harrell up next. Thank you for your attention to this matter.